Greetings, YouTube. Once again, happy Sunday. I was really curious about the arena scores for this champion because the hype seemed to be somewhere between last month's two featured champions of Namor and Invisible Woman. And by the way, I've seen some confusion. If you have not seen Spider-Man Far From Home, no spoilers, but the term quote-unquote night monkey has been thrown around a lot, including the last video I posted of the attempt to get 5 or 6 star Night Monkey. And some people think it's offensive because it contains the word monkey, but you just got to know it's a quote from the movie. And once you watch the movie, you'll get the reference. But if you haven't seen the movie, I understand why it sounds like a weird term to call a superhero. Just know it's a quote, not something else. So I'm trying to clear that up. There have been like debates in the chats I've seen of whether or not people should call it that. It's kind of a weird thing to call a champion regardless. I mean, I still say Stealth Spidey or Stealth Suit Spidey is what I'm going to stick with. It's a little bit longer, but I think it doesn't cause the confusion that the other term causes. But that's just to clear something up before we continue in this video. And with that being said, remember a couple arenas ago, Namor destroyed the record for the 5-star featured arena. 80 million plus points. Just an insane amount of grinding, an insane amount of units for refreshes for so many people to pull Namor. That was the top 150. There were so many people who went above 100 million. Thankfully, this came back down to earth. We saw Medusa right after not get to 40, and even though Medusa is an older champion, she is still a very, very good champion in the game, even unawakened for quite a few people, at least on attack. And then Invisible Woman came, and she dropped below Medusa. We saw a 32 and a 38 million, respectively, scores. And then Green Goblin, of course, was somebody which was hyped up by no one, not even OG Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1. And we saw Green Goblin go 22 and 25 million. So I was thinking, because of course people always ask during broadcasts and behind the scenes, what do you think the 5-star feature is? I was thinking it would go somewhere between 60 and 70 million. It would definitely be about 10 million plus clear of the record that Namor set, because Namor round 2 was 58 million, and I thought that was probably closer to what we would see with this champion, who looks to be a very solid champion, and who knows, maybe he will just be like a fine wine and get better as time goes on, and we'll see usages for him and damage output for him that we didn't think of. But for now, I'd say, he's pretty good, but not amazing. I still take Stark Enhanced Spider-Man, especially with the synergy bonuses of the OG Holy Trinity, Blade and Ghost Rider, of course, over him. But with that being said, huge shout out to a close friend of mine in my AOA Alliance, Zeno79, just simply called Z, who earned 91st place for 63 million. Keep in mind that 63 million score probably wouldn't have put him in the top 300 of Namor's first round of the featured, and yet for the same time frame for Spider-Man Stealth, he is getting well above place 150. In fact, he's in the top 100 place. And so I have seen that around 55 million is what it took to get this champion. That's below the second round of Namor. Now, because that's a lower score than the others, maybe round 2 will actually be higher than round 1. Who knows? But regardless, it is a welcome sight. And I still think, chances are it's been a few months since we've heard of Kabam doing a sweep where they run as to whether or not they can catch accounts that cheat using hacks and mods in the arena. And so, who knows if Kabam is going to do that again soon, but I still feel like these scores are even artificially inflated a little bit from where they could be when those sweeps are made. But regardless, it's still a welcome sight to see a sub-60 grind. Not to say that's easy to get. In fact, that's still 3 days worth of solid arena grinding for so many people. But at the same time, I think we can all agree that 55 million is much more obtainable than 80 million. So, yeah, the question is, do you think that he's even worth 55 million? Or are you about happy as a community with that benchmark for this champion? I'd love to know in the comments below what you think of that. And, I think arena grinding is great for especially free-to-play players, of course, who can't afford a lot of refreshes. And so this is kind of the only way. They're not going to be able to hoard the same kind of units that people who spend obviously can throw at featured Cavalier crystals. But I also think it's important to note that I have seen free-to-play player videos where they have taken, say, the 3,000 or 4,000 units that they have built up from battle chips and from arena crystals, and they have gotten really lucky and pulled at least the 5-star version of the featured champion. And that, of course, in that case, in a very rare case, is well worth the excitement of the opening and the lack of work to grind for the champion, which takes hours and hours and hours. So yeah, it's the arena is an interesting thing. When I explain it to people who don't play the game, it sort of feels like I'm explaining why would you want to be stuck at the DMV for 5 hours over the course of 3 days, maybe 10 hours. And that probably is what it feels like for people who grind in the arena as well. But at the same time, if you really, really want a champion and you don't want to spend a bunch of money or a bunch of units on crystals, it's kind of the only way to get that champion, at least exclusively in the first time that they're released in 2019. It's not like how it used to be where you can go after the 5-star featured of the champion right away when they got introduced. So Kabam's made a lot more money off of this. It totally makes sense why they do it from a for-profit standpoint, but at the same time, it just really makes that arena that much more of an emphasis for the future of the contest. So thanks again, and congrats to Zeno79, or simply Z, for placing 91st with 63 million. I have been told that the overall place 150 is around 55 million, which again is a welcome sight. Have a great Sunday, YouTube. Thanks for watching.